I think I remember this name. Kyle E. Christ. I'm going to say Christ because there's no H in there. If it's Christ, I apologize, Kyle. I'm going to go with Christ. Kyle Christ says, you say that collectives are passionate about things that they know nothing about, yet often my experience is that they are along the lines of I saw this documentary or I read this article or I know this Syrian refugee friend. What strategies do you use for the informed collectivist of those who think they are informed? I call it passionately misinformed. That's a great term too. They're passionately misinformed. This is one of the first things I ever started saying about myself in terms of the work I do. When I was a young person, when I was 20, surrounded by liberals in the theater department, I was extremely passionate. I passionately believed in things I know nothing about. Nothing. I was wrong about virtually everything. I wasn't wrong about America because I loved America, I loved the military, and I loved business. But everything. But the way to get there, I was 180 degrees wrong about all of it. All of it. And yet I was, on some level, I was much more passionate than I am now. I was much more, agitated and angry and more energy when I was 20 and all this other stuff. I just was wrong about everything. So I think, to answer your question, that there are irrefutable arguments. And for whatever percentage of the population that is, forget whether they're liberal or conservative, whether or not they're intellectually honest enough, and whether they have enough of a moral core to decide that they want to be correct, that they want to know what the truth is, those people can be recovered very quickly in the state of several very brief little arguments. As I've mentioned before, the one I remember most distinctly for me was probably around 85, maybe a little earlier, whenever. The movie Glory had just come out, and I was reading Newsweek magazine and agreeing with everything in it. And the back page alternated between Martha Quinn's mom and this guy named George Will. And George Will was talking about how Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton was saying, you have to respect us. You have to give. No, it wasn't that. He said we need this politically, and you have to give us this victory. And George Will said, if I give it to you, it's not a victory. Respect is not something that you can demand of somebody. You can make the demand, but it doesn't mean they're going to respect you. You have to earn it. He started talking about the movie Glory and how the soldiers in that movie weren't going to the Confederates or the white Union soldiers next to him and say, we demand that you respect us. They went out there and fought just as well as anybody else, better perhaps, and they earned that respect. And I remember hearing that argument, and I thought that is profoundly true. It's absolutely true. And that loosened up the logjam. When I was 20, I thought, I really did think this, and it's going to sound astonishing to you. I thought that if a criminal came into my house and stole my TV set, then that was okay, because I was a young white guy and I was going to have a big, bright future ahead of me, and this poor person probably needed the TV set to feed their family, and so who am I to complain about these things? First of all, it wasn't my TV set. It was my dad's TV set. Secondly, I wasn't working to pay for the TV set, and so it wasn't just a TV set. In fact, it was just a TV set. It wasn't 3 months of hard work that got taken out the window. But I learned pretty quickly that people that come into your house to steal a TV set, and I was asleep in my bed and the window was here and the window was open, and I turned and I saw somebody halfway in my window. This is in the student ghetto at the University of Florida. I realized that person is not there to steal a TV set to feed his family. This is Victor Hugo kind of fantasy that people are out there robbing, because they just need a crust of bread for Tiny Tim. It's just not true. Anybody can see it's not true. That person was going to come into that room, steal everything I had, and I didn't have much. I was a student. I was stone poor for decades. And they were going to take the little that I had, not to do something noble like feed their, or forget noble, even unavoidable. They were going to do it so that they could go down to a pawn shop and cash this, $100 TV set in for $18 so they could get a drug hit, and 6 hours later it's gone. And now they have to find another TV set. And when the reality of this, it wasn't the person coming through the window that changed my mind. It was simple observation of the kind of people that go to jail. I have to tell you, I've never really thought about this before. It's one of the reasons why I like doing the show, because I learn a lot of things myself. But I never realized, I guess, until just now, how much my fascination with the show Cops really did ground me. I got to the point where I was watching Cops every day in reruns late at night. And then when the internet came along, I started watching it online. I loved that show. I loved it. And the reason I loved it so much was over time, over hundreds of episodes, you begin to see what criminals really are. And it's not a question of somebody giving you their opinion of it. It's who you're going to believe. This, Bernie Sanders, your own lying eyes. I saw innumerable times on Cops where you would see the video of somebody stealing something or somebody breaking something or somebody doing the drug deal. You'd watch them lean into the car from the hidden camera on board the police car. You'd watch them take the drugs or put it in her purse. And then the police car would pull up and light up, and they'd start questioning this woman, and she'd start saying, I don't know what you're talking about. Say, well, you're here buying drugs, ma'am. I'm not buying drugs. No, I don't. What are you saying? And then he would say, can we look inside your purse? And she said, yes, which is not recommended, by the way. And he'd pull out this bag of crack, and she said, I don't know where that came from. I've never seen it before. And pretty convincingly. Really? You didn't realize this was in your purse? No. How do you explain it? I don't know. I guess my roommate must have put it in there. And they're just lying through their teeth. And that they're lying. It's not like you believe they're lying. You know they're lying because you saw it happen. And after you see that enough, you begin to realize that there are people out there that are just very good liars. And they will tell you all kinds of sad stories. And the second you drive off, they'll go out and do some more of these things again. It's just it's an amazing thing to watch, and the coolness and obviously there's some bad apples, but not many. The coolness under, and I don't mean the coolness under fire, although there's that. I mean the emotional thickness of skin and I can't really describe what I'm looking for, but this quality that the police have, especially experienced police officers, when they're being lied to their face. It's just great. And I'll tell you who else I got fascinated with and watched a lot of. I really hooked on and watched almost every episode I could get online. And for exactly the same reason, by the way. And that's Judge Judy. I watched hundreds of episodes of Judge Judy for exactly the same reason. It's fascinating to me to see people stand there and lie through their teeth. And what also fascinates me, especially about Judge Judy, is it is incredibly interesting to me that if you are sensitive enough, smart enough, and especially experienced enough, as Judge Judy is, you will almost invariably be able to see what is going on from the get-go. You ask one or two questions, and it's not even the information. It's the way the person answers. You can get a sense of this. I know who this person is, and this, and it just, I watch it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. It wasn't just the lies and the counter stories and all the rest of it. It was watching, I guess because I'm just able to pick up on this stuff, watching Judge Judy making a decision before the decision during the entire, back and forth between the two stories. You could watch her say to herself, I've seen this kind of person 1,000 times every single year. I know exactly what they did. I know exactly where the lie is. And it's simply clear. And you can likewise tell who's telling the truth. There's a certain dignity to people, and there's a certain quietness. I'm generalizing again. But there's a certain quietness to the people who are innocent. When Judy says to them, I'm sorry, Judy, I didn't mean to say Judy Shineland. I meant to say Judge Judy. When Judge Judy says, be quiet, you'll get your turn, the people who are innocent are usually quiet. and they're usually quite dignified. And the ability to be able to determine that is very impressive to me. If everybody out there had the antenna and it's not just the antenna, it's the experience that Judy Scheinlin has, we wouldn't have very many problems in our society, because it'd essentially be impossible to get away with a lie. Once you've seen enough liars and you see them, you watch them lie in front of your eyes, you know what they're all about. And she said something, I didn't watch her over years and years and years. I just watched a bunch of episodes, kind of binge watched it for months and months. But one thing she said frequently was, don't try this with me. I'm much smarter than you. I'm much smarter than you. And I thought, wow, what a cool thing to say. For a number of reasons. She is smarter than them, needless to say. Certainly smarter than the average street criminal and that kind of thing. But even when you get kind of, brightish kind of people who are trying to pull some kind of con or trying to get out of something, she would say, I'm smarter than you, and she was. She was wiser than them as well. Which brings me to a completely different subject, which is absolutely I've been meaning to talk about this forever and just never have. It's connected to what I just said about Judge Judy. It's not connected to anything else. I'll run with this for a little while. We'll call it a night. But just to wrap up the Judy thing, I have to say I was enormously disappointed, and I may be wrong about this, but I don't think I am, enormously disappointed when I found out that the court costs are paid by the show. So when Judge Judy says, verdict in favor of the plaintiff, and bangs her gavel and gets out of there, and then the person who's been lying through their teeth about $2,370, lying through their teeth, they've been found to be, there is no claim, or the claim against them is valid or whatever, and then I find out that the $2,380 is paid for by the show and not by the person who I just watched lie their way through 15 minutes of television. That was disappointing to me. I would have liked it much better if it turned out there was actual justice going on there and not TV justice. Nevertheless, as a study of human behavior, I cannot recommend it highly enough. If you search on YouTube, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. And you'll just get a look at some of the, just look at just 5 of them, You'll see it. Yeah, she's a profoundly wise person. I admire her very much. Okay, so this